Mindfulness seems to have become the new kale, this new kind of hot thing of today, a new trend, a new fad. And I think it's causing a lot of people to wonder why. Why has it become this thing that, you can't escape? It's on the NPR story. You walk into Barnes and Noble, there's coloring books. Everybody seems to be talking about mindfulness. So part of that has to do with the fact that we are living in an age of anxiety and overwhelm, where there's a lot of mindless behavior happening, whether that's because of technology overload, increasing work and personal demands, and just the sheer force of life. It causes us to sort of just go, go, go without time to actually reflect and stop and actually be in the moment. So I think there's a situation happening where many people are salivating for strategies. We're gravitating to a new way of operating that is less humane, that helps us to stay resilient, that helps us to actually enjoy the lives that we're setting out to live, and not sort of succumb to the pressure to just live in a state of frenetic energy. So the other thing about mindfulness in terms of why there's been this surge of interest and popularity is that we now have the science to really back an over 2,500 year tradition of ancient wisdom. So it's not like a brand new thing. It's just that now it's been introduced and it's been validated more by the scientific community. And what it's been shown to do is to really help with prevention of depression and anxiety. It's been shown to help us achieve greater clarity and focus in our lives, to help us reach goals, to help sustain us in today's complex market, and to, again, allow us to take greater joy in the things that we're working towards. So that still might feel a little fuzzy to you. It might feel ambiguous, like, well, what is it? Because again, some people will think, well, do I have to drink kombucha to be mindful? Do I have to go to yoga class to be mindful? Do I have to break out the coloring books? What is it exactly? And how especially could I put into play into my life to help me be less mindless, to help me protect my mental health and my well-being, and to sustain myself through my career and my life? So first off, mindfulness, by definition, is just a state of active presence in the moment. And it allows us, when we experience thoughts or behaviors or sensations, to take what is called a non-judgmental stance. So that's just a way of saying, let's say you're at work, for example, and all of a sudden someone comes at you, you feel it's kind of a toxic interaction, you feel triggered by it. Instead of sort of jumping from like that amygdala point of the brain, that fight or flight response where you just kind of want to be reactive, you take pause. You notice the sensations you're feeling in your body. Again, it could be just, a clench moment or just a moment of a flash of anxiety or frustration. And you're noticing that that's happening, almost like you're kind of stepping back in third person style. You're observing what's happening in your body. You're taking pause, you're taking a breath. You're recognizing what are the factors that might be contributing to me feeling triggered at this moment, and how might I redirect my energy? Do I need to get up and take a break, take a walk? Do I need to do some deep breathing? Do I need to just recognize that this will eventually become a solvable problem, or it's not as big of an issue as it first feels in my stomach in the grand scheme of things? That, again, human behavior can be complicated. Relationships can be complicated, work environments are complicated, but just not taking that bait quickly to rush into judgment or to rush into a place of just like one and done or extreme frustration. Another example of non-judgmental behavior is even just with regards to sensations and sort of how we sort of read ourselves in a given moment. What we see happening in the world of brain science is that a lot of times we have these complicated theories of emotions, and we sort of think, it all goes back to our childhood or all these complicated things. But what we're recognizing is just on a baseline level, how much sleep, how much exercise and movement, how hydrated we are, how well nourished we are, how well connected we are. Those factors actually bear down tremendously on our levels of reactivity. So you might even notice yourself, let's say even you might go into a social situation and you're feeling overstimulated and you start to kind of almost feel like a sense of panic or overwhelm. It might just be that your blood sugar is a little bit off and you need to eat, or you just need to take a step back, or you might even need to stop putting so much pressure on yourself or judging yourself, and maybe even like the feeling of awkwardness you have in a social situation. One way I put this a lot in my life and in my work as I work to help people rethink these kinds of things is that life is awkward, not you. We all feel awkward very often in these situations, but it's situations themselves that can be provocative and where we're just trying to maneuver and navigate and find our way and connect, and it's nerve-wracking. And so a mindful approach to this is recognizing I'm not going to judge myself. I'm not going to jump to hypercriticism. I'm going to recognize this is just part of my humanity and work through it and not rush to this place of condemnation, so to speak. So those are a couple of examples of mindfulness mindsets. Now, another way to think about this is creating space in our lives. I think the biggest commodity of today is time. It's so precious, it's so rare. We're chasing our tails. You know, the time for leisure, the time for respite, the time to just process things, it gets squeezed out. And so mindfulness is, even in small doses of time, even in micro doses, is just stopping to breathe. And meditation is one practice of mindfulness that many of us have become familiar of. And what I think is an awesome irony is that now we even have apps for mindfulness. We have Calm, Buddhify, Headspace. I recommend them all. Try them out. It's kind of a funny twist, right? The technology helps us with this when technology is sometimes the culprit in terms of mindless behavior. But stopping to access these resources of today that can, if you're like me, I'm kind of a hyperactive person. I go. My brain is very busy. And I at first thought that mindfulness or meditation wasn't for me, that I wasn't going to be able to sit still long enough. These apps were a beginning portal for me. They were a beginning step for me to recognize that I could sit, that I could not just have my mind be going with thoughts all day. Sometimes I think we have a myth that the more our brain works, the harder that it works, the more we process problems, the more attention we give to these things, the better equipped we'll be to solve our issues. When in fact our brains actually need time to just be in the moment, to be in that neutral, non-judgmental stance, to just get into creative flow, to connect to a deeper level within ourselves, a deeper level of collective consciousness, even, if you will, which might seem like, well, where does that fit into the workplace? But we can actually tap into just a level that we're all connected, that of greater life forces that go beyond just the daily, that again, we think we have to be constantly working our minds. Taking the foot off the gas and just being present in the moment and being still is a great way to fuel us, is a great way to help us to recalibrate and reimagine our lives in new ways. And I love it because when you look at research right now, one of the key skills of today that is sought after by employers and important for leaders is creativity. And we can't muster up creativity without stopping. And meditation, I know for many people, and the science is really backing this, helps us to foster and cultivate creativity. So creating these spaces. Mindfulness is also a sense of cultivating awe and gratitude. So again, things don't have to cost us a lot of money, like to be able to be present and look at the cityscape, or to just appreciate, hear a child's laughter, to really tune in and listen to that. Those can be highly engaged, mindful things that we practice. It doesn't have to cost a lot of money for us to do this. It can also just be, again, aesthetic appreciation, really taking in the beauty of our environments and really noticing them. And another just very simple way to practice mindfulness is, think about how you're going to get this into your day. And I call it the before, the during, and the after. Now, the during is really the heart of mindfulness, but But it's okay also to sort of be strategic about your mindful plan. So it could be something like, at 10 o'clock this morning, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to enjoy my tea. And that's going to be good for me. That's going to help me to be mindful and present. And then when you're in it, you're really absorbing it all. And then following later in the day, again, part of mindfulness and mindfulness self-care is to say to yourself, I did that today. That was part of my cumulative self-care bank. That was part of my mindfulness bank. That was helpful to me. That helped me sustain myself. And so these kinds of things, they might seem very simple. They might feel even a little counterintuitive, a little kumbaya, maybe a little hokey to you, a little too kombucha. But what I'm really saying is that science is showing that these simple acts can serve as a great protector of our well-being, and they can help sustain us through complexity and, again, just renew our mind, bodies, and spirits in ways that help us to actually be more productive. So it's a little twist here. It's like by disengaging from mindless behavior of go, 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 we can actually then refuel ourselves and bring ourselves to a new cycle of connection, intentionality, of focus, of clarity, and again, the avoidance of judgment. If we can unhook ourselves from judgment of self and one another, that's a true way that we can move to a better place together, where we can then become the kinds of leaders that embody this, that serve as role models and influencers, and that will have an effect on your entire ecosystem, on your organization, your institution, those that circle with you, and then that circle continues to widen, and you begin to have a ripple effect as you engage in life in this kind of dynamic way, in a way that truly we were designed to do. Probably as children, we knew these things. Think of little kids. What do? They hum. What we know, if you look at mindfulness practices, that's seen as the universal vibration. From a brain science perspective, that is seen as something that stimulates a positive chemistry in our brains. What else do kids do? They stand on their heads. That's yoga. They flip around, right? They move. You don't have to tell a kid to be in the moment or to find the joy or to find the humor. They know how to do that. Unfortunately, as demands escalate in our lives, as we move into so-called adulting and our adult lives, we sometimes lose just the simplest things that give us true elation and joy. And that kind of way of engaging in life, that mindful way of engaging, is actually everything. If you think about all the success you can have, all the accolades, the trophies, none of it's really worth it if we're not fully in it and enjoying it and able to relish in it. And that's what awe and gratitude are. They're that ability to look at life with just like new, fresh eyes, and then to really appreciate what we have, to really stop and celebrate, to just find that joy and to express gratitude and thanks for what we have. So many times mindless behavior is we don't have this. Oh, it's the stress. It's all the things that consume us. We're not good enough, or, the scarcity mindset. But gratitude actually really helps us to be mindful and present for what is and not focused on what isn't.